how much right now, I mean, based on this is a global brand that's being embarrassed on a national stage that it was on this Saturday night. And to me is if the Lane train can't come here, Scott has to go. If he can't deliver Lane, then you just got to move on from him. I give credit. LSU did fire their AD. I thought Scott should have been canned as well too. Maybe he didn't want to leave the university. He could have put him in some other role. But for the most part, I think it's time for him to leave the organization. I think he's done enough damage to this football program right now. And I just don't see why they held on to him.
Well, not only that, he got a new contract.
Yeah, that's even crazier.
Yeah, so, that's why I haven't spoke much on it. I don't know if anything happens because of that. Now, if he hadn't got that new contract, I'd say, all right, yeah. If you don't bring in Lane, then yeah, you're probably on your way out. I don't know if that happens now. And another thing about that is I don't want to pretend Lane's the only good coach out there. I just think he's the one I have the most confidence in. I do think other guys, and I don't know which ones, can come in here and have success as well. Hopefully, support, where all the support that you were promising Lane, I hope is still there if he's not the guy and you have, moving all in one direction. I do think as far as the fan base goes, it wouldn't be as hyped as it was if it was Lane Kiffin, but still hopefully everything behind the scenes as far as administration and boosters and everybody being on the same page continues to happen for the next guy as well. If it's not Lane, but yeah, we're going to have a hard look in the mirror there. And I mean, Scott, of course, getting a little bit of credit for the basketball title. How much does that weigh in all this? Some people will weigh that a good bit. But bringing it up always goes back to you more than likely could have had Lane last year if you just would have made the move.
That's the issue right there.
That's what so many people say right now. And we all saw it should have happened after the A&M game.
Yeah.
It could have happened after the Miami game last year.
Yeah.
Enough was enough.
So I think if people want to go back to that might weigh pretty heavy if a move does get made anyway on Stricklin, if you don't get Lane. Now, here's the thing about this whole situation for Stricklin and Lane to me. Like you could have had him last year. So, yeah, that should be weighed pretty heavy as well. It won't be because of Stricklin if Lane comes or not comes this time around. Like it won't be because Scott did something wrong. It's just Lane's going to stay at Ole Miss or he's going to come to Florida. That's really all it is. I don't think there's anything Scott can do or Scott cannot do to get Lane in the door. But
yeah, I think that's good, right? I can't blame him for that. But the issue is, like you said, it could have happened last year, and I think Lane would have came last year.
Oh, I know he would have.
Yeah. So,
and besides Lane, how much? I know we don't want an assistant. I know we want someone to prove a head coach.
Yeah.
But I think right now in today's age of the NIL, and we see programs doing it well. To me, I want someone off that Ryan Day tree. I think of Lanning went up to Oregon and it's just flourished there, right? And so I think if you don't get Lane, is there someone on Ryan Day's staff or somewhere tied in that program that knows how to win national championships in the NIL world right now? Is kind of where I lean as a backup.
That would be Hartline. The wide receiver coach, now offensive coordinator there at Ohio State. He would be the only one. How does that compare to Lanning, learning under Saban and Kirby for so long and, getting the job at Oregon? I think it would have to be the question you ask. There are advantages of going that route as far as, you still need to spend a lot of money. You just wouldn't be spending it on the coaching salary. You would be spending the money elsewhere to build everything up around a candidate like that, to put, A+ quality around him at every angle to help him out the most. They're still going to be learning on the job. But that's what Oregon did with Lanning. It was like, all right, we know that he's green. He's new, but he's going to need all the support in the world behind him to get this thing done and it not take a while. So there was a lot of support there. If you go that route, you can't just say, all right, well, we'll go that route. We can save some money, but we're not going to spend an NIL because, we're disappointed it's not Kiffin or another big name or all that. No, you're going to have to put the support around this guy, maybe even more so. But, for Lane, he's going to have, and for other named coaches, they're going to have demands, and rightfully so. And Florida better give them everything they want. But a guy with no coaching record to his name needs to demand the same thing because that's what it's going to take to win. And if Florida wants to half-ass this, then tell us fan base so we can set our expectations. But Scott Stricklin tells us when you fire Billy Napier, this is the championship expectation. And look, I know all that could just be words that are thrown out there for sure. And it's maybe –
I believe nothing Scott says ever.
for sure. But to the point, any AD is probably going to say that in his shoes, no matter who it is. If you've won 3 national championships, that's going to be the standard that us as a fan base are going to put on you. But if you're not serious about this, then tell us. And I won't say we'll find something else to do, but at least we have an expectation. At least we can set expectations. But if the AD, no matter who it is at Florida, is going to tell me we're getting rid of a coach, and because of that, we have championship expectations. We have a standard we want to meet. And that's what you tell us in your press conference. That's what you tell us in the message you send out on social media. All right. Well, it doesn't matter who the next head coach is. You better do everything. You better do everything in the world to give that guy everything he needs to go win. So
that's just the way I see it. If you don't land, I think everybody else is kind of all jumbled into the same group. And that's why I'm saying is someone who's won in the current NIL area is what I'm leaning more towards if you can't get Lane. And I know it's probably not the best choice, but boy, I look at that coaching tree and how they recruit. They're organized. They know how to win. They know to schedule soft too. I mean, I don't know if that'll help us out too. I mean, they do have a soft schedule, but I'm just saying in today's playoff and NIL world, I want someone who's won in that, not been exposed to that yet.
Yeah. And, it doesn't sound like that will be the case unless Florida just gets way down the list and is told no by a bunch of people. I mean, from everything we can gather and know and asking around, it is, all right, we are going after a sitting power forward coach, preferably on the offensive side. So we'll see where that takes Florida.